Hello, seaweed people. Welcome to my presentation for the 25th International Seaweed Symposium, where I'm speaking with support from principal sponsor Seaweed Moani. My first Seaweed Symposium was 60 years ago at the 5th ISS in Halifax, Nova Scotia on Canada's Atlantic coast. Back then, I was too young to be taken seriously as a seaweed guy, and today I'm too old to be taken seriously by many people as ageism kicks in. Be that as it may, I'm about to share with you some reflections on 60 years of phyconomy bricolage on ocean farms. Commercial farming of tropical red seaweeds was stimulated by market pull from Carrageenan and Agar producers that were short of raw material from traditional cold water sources. Ultimately, they developed a major industry through collaboration with impoverished coastal people who were hungry for cash crops in areas with limited economic opportunities. Hello, my name is Iain Neish, and I'm an adaptive phyconomist, a seaweed farmer. My phyconomy vocation has followed on the work of my father, Arthur Neish, who was a pioneer of red seaweed farming at a time when the field was almost exclusive to China and Japan. In 1965, I started a phyconomy life in my home province of Nova Scotia in Canada, in the frigid, stormy waters of the North Atlantic. But by 1974, I had experienced the joys of warm water in Indonesia. By 1977, it was clear to me the Carrageenan seaweeds could not be grown at an acceptable cost in cold waters with frigid winter climates. I've lived and worked in Southeast Asia ever since. Until 1974, the Carrageenan industry was almost totally dependent on wild cold water seaweeds, mostly Chondrus crispus from Atlantic Canada. Efforts to grow Chondrus at an affordable cost have failed in Atlantic Canada and elsewhere until the present day. The Carrageenan industry was headed for stagnation unless farm raw materials could be obtained. So major Carrageenan processors commenced diligent farm development efforts starting in the mid-1960s. By the late 1970s, farmed euchumatoid seaweeds became a significant raw material source for the Carrageenan industry. A driving force was Orda, with a small office at the Goodwood Park Hotel in Singapore. Orda was a collaboration of American, Danish, and French companies. Through the 1970s, these three companies dominated the Carrageenan business with upwards of 90% of global market. Commercial farming of euchumatoid seaweeds commenced in 1974 in Tawi-Tawi province of the Philippines, but Indonesia attained leadership in global tropical seaweed production by the mid-2000s. Tropical red seaweed farm development was funded and driven by entrepreneurial value chain players. Market system providers and governance enforcers got active only after seaweed farming and value chains were already well established. By 2025, we're moving beyond seaweed monocropping to holistic coastal area management that applies enterprise ecology. So let me talk about 10 lessons I've learned during my 60-year path from seaweed monocropping to enterprise ecology. Lesson number 1 is that phyconomy is by the people, for the people. Tropical seaweed farming is an outstanding example of large-scale crop production developed from simple methods refined by farmers in the sea, as Dr. Maxwell Doty used to say. Field phyconomists drive iterative cycles of innovation. Here are 4 of the best. There's Max Doty, Vic Alvarez, Ruben Baraka, and Matti Simbic. The phyconomist functions both as cultivator and as innovator. The farmer phyconomist monitors and manages farm units while providing crop care and keeping track of what other value chain stakeholders are doing. The bricolage engine is a system of trial and error that uses energy, materials, and transaction paths that are readily accessible at ecoscapes where farms are located. Bricolage results in accumulated experience that evolves farmer phyconomist mindsets. Virtuous cycles of innovation and adaptation result in adaptive solutions that refine phyconomy systems. Adaptive phyconomy solutions are generally applied as rules of thumb. Phyconomist scientists travel the world, networking farmers, and testing hypotheses. While doing so, they foster development of mindsets that build a shared phyconomy mindscape. Nevertheless, even after 60 years, I still see phyconomists drowning in a sea of untested hypotheses. Lesson 2 is that adaptive phyconomy is strengthened by precision phyconomy. Phyconomy is the branch of applied phycology that comprises systems of art, science, and technology applied to production systems that yield crops of algae. Adaptive phyconomy is a low-cost, low-control approach to seaweed farming. It is practiced where biology of algal crops is poorly understood and/or where confounding variables render precision technologies impractical. It is confounding variables that make adaptive phyconomy essential for ocean farming systems. For example, you have value issues and other human variables, uncontrollable weather and geology variables, such as typhoons and tsunamis, and uncontrollable oceanographic and ecological variables, such as tides, currents, and so forth. Adaptive phyconomy is a form of adaptive management. This concept was developed in the 1970s by Buzz Hawley and Carl Walters from the University of British Columbia and later from the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis in Vienna, Austria. Adaptive phyconomy can be interpreted in adaptive management terms as a process of dealing with uncertainty in the management of ecoscapes and adjoining renewable resources. It's a process of treating human interventions in phyconomy and ecoscape systems as experimental probes. Research is incorporated into phyconomy and conservation actions. So every crop cycle is like a new trial. If the crop grows well, farmers are happy. If the crop goes badly, farmers are unhappy. If the crop dies, farmers are devastated. But we seldom know why things happen or how to fix problems. Now, precision phyconomy is a high-cost, high-control approach to algal crop production. It is practiced where biology of algal crops is reasonably well understood and culture conditions can be more or less comprehensively controlled. Precision phyconomy systems augment adaptive systems, and precision increasingly displaces adaptation. Lesson 3 is that phyconomy influences ecosystem services. All phyconomy systems provide ecological services for humanity, or at least we like to think that. Support services result from biosynthesis, especially photosynthesis in the case of seaweeds. Provisioning services sell biomass by the ton. Regulating services can be valorized through credits, such as carbon credits and nitrogen credits. And cultural services are valorized objectively as we appreciate and enjoy the world around us. Disservices are costed as damage. This would include algal bloom, beach fouling, and that sort of thing. Economy harmonizes ecosystem services. Here you see depictions of support, provisioning, cultural, and regulating services in action. Lesson 4. Economy is therefore an element of integrated aquaculture. All economy systems should operate within integrated multi-trophic aquaculture, or IMTA systems. For this concept, we owe a great deal to the late Professor Thierry Chopin, who unfortunately passed away just a few months ago. Lesson 5 is that economy is built on knowledge, information, tools, and solutions. KITS for short. KIT sets are the core asset of economy. Knowledge is the engine that drives economy. Information is the fuel that powers economy. Tools make the rubber hit the road. And solutions get us to our destinations. Marine environmental information is pathetically inadequate. The fuel tank definitely needs fueling in this segment of economy. The Internet of Things could provide essential environmental data, but it is woefully underutilized. Affordable monitoring systems are sparsely deployed. Climate and seasonality impact are largely speculative. Lesson 6. Economy happens in socio-ecological production ecoscapes. Marine economy is undertaken in production systems that function within coastal marine ecoscapes. So, in production ecoscapes, people live and work in the same space. Ecoscape is an umbrella term that includes landscapes, seascapes, and all other forms of scape. A socio-ecological production ecoscape is known as a SEPE. Sustainability results when enterprise ecology harmonizes SEPE ecosystem services in ways that build net enterprise profitability per eco-economic principles. Lesson 7 is that economy is valorized through value chains and market systems. SEPE fit into a grand scheme of things, which includes an ecocosm, within which there are the atmosphere, geosphere, and hydrosphere, and the biosphere. SEPE should connect to the world through optimized supply and value chains, and virtuous cycles of optimization continually increase the efficiency of these systems. Value chains function in market systems. So, seashore enterprises produce goods and services that get processed, marketed, and consumed, while virtuous adaptation cycles evolve to better solutions. Market systems include governance functions and support functions and involve various market players. Experience shows that value chains can fail without hub enterprises as links integral to the chains. That is why we have formed CKITS Hub. Lesson 8, enterprise ecology is how economy fits into blue ocean economics. Now, enterprise ecology is an umbrella term that covers agroecology, phycoecology, urban ecology, and similar concepts. Enterprise ecology embraces the FAO 10 elements of agroecology. There is a large body of literature about agroecology out there. It is an accepted concept, and phycoecology really follows from it. But enterprise ecology is a term that includes all of them. Enterprise ecology kits enable enterprises in ecoscape communities to apply arts, sciences, and technologies that influence, manage, and control biosphere ecosystem services valorized through fair eco-economic market systems. Lesson 9 is that new applications, products, and markets must drive economy development. The World Bank predicted seaweed market size up to about 2030. They identified 10 global seaweed markets with the potential to grow by an additional almost $12 billion by 2030. The most promising markets for seaweed are biostimulants, feed, and nutraceuticals, with total markets projected to reach about $8 billion by 2030. Here's a reality check, though. For one thing, no major market for eukumatoid seaweeds has materialized since SRC in meats during the 1980s. And the hydrocolloid markets that dominate eukumatoid value chains are essentially zero-sum games with very slow growth. Some major eukumatoid supply regions can produce much more biomass than they can sell nowadays. Others have experienced value chain failure and have no apparent path to recovery. For example, the place where I live now in the Philippines, once a prolific seaweed producer and now hardly any at all. Farm gate pricing of Kapophycus in Indonesia reflects the struggle to balance supply and demand. We got several boom and bust cycles over the years. Market development must come from adequately funded, innovative enterprises. Copycat technology has been woefully prevalent during tropical seaweed industry development, and copycat does not lead to innovation and progress. Lesson 10, economy and enterprise ecology is essential for blue ocean sustainability. United Nations Development Goals, or SDG, have been globally embraced, and economy can impact many of these. In fact, economy and enterprise ecology impacts on several big picture conceptual frameworks. Profitable enterprise alliances in value chains in market systems are key to sustainable success. Economy in enterprise ecology is a driver for blue ocean sustainable development concepts such as biosecurity, climate cures, regeneration, a favorite term nowadays, ecoeconomics, integration, biodiversity, sustainability, and stewardship. These initiatives cannot succeed unless small to medium and micro enterprises, MSME, are profitable, and almost all seaweed farms fit into the MSME category. Yes, virtually all seaweed farming is done by MSME, And according to World Trade Organization, MSME account for 95% of businesses globally and provide more than half of total global employment. During my 60 years in economy, I've witnessed the expenditure of countless millions of dollars in initiatives allegedly aimed at what are now called blue ocean economies. Yet, in my experience, a woefully small percentage of such funding ever provided meaningful development of marine MSME and value chain in market systems. Even after 60 years, I see how meager is my understanding of systems behavior as climate change interacts with ecosystem services and eco-economic blue ocean economies. My remaining years are being invested in passing forward what lessons I can as succeeding generations develop sustainable enterprises along the seashores of the world. For example, here's my family in Cebu, Philippines. Thanks for watching. Restore tropical seashores one enterprise at a time with enterprise ecology.